afternoon, Bills Mafia, everybody watching. Uh, got a little break again in between jobs, and it's football season, so I got to try to get videos in when I can. We're going to discuss the debacle, the trash, the rubbish, whatever you want to call it, that we had last night. Is the light? I'm trying to get natural light in here. Does whoever's watching, does it look good? Let me know. Um, a lot of horrible things happened yesterday, and started off first with just congratulating the Jets team and the coaching staff for after 4 plays, you lost the person who your whole season revolved around, all the hype revolved around, and they rallied. They didn't give up, didn't quit, and they're able to win. That takes a lot of resilience and grit, which is something I think is very important for people to have. So, but this is going to get into the Bills game and how. I mean, we talked about it a lot in Oklahoma City Mafia yesterday, but there's a lot that needs to be talked about still, good and bad. I mean, whoever knows me knows that I hate the it's only week one mentality. I hate the it's only one game mentality, because you got to do something about it. If it's 1 week or one game, you got to actually fix the issue at hand, the problem. That's why you watch film, even in like high school level. You spend hours watching film, and then you have the hard conversations. You always think, "Oh yeah, they're going to say great stuff about me," and they say horrible things. It's not because they're mad at you or whatever that you want it. You expect the best out of people. You want the best to be brought out of people. That's why you watch film. That's why you watch where you screwed up. Josh is going to have to look at that film, and they're going to have to be hard with them. They can't be friendly because they're buddy. Say, Josh, you lost us this game. This is where you screwed up. Before we get into bad stuff, there's a couple things good that I want to talk about. I thought, one of my pregame questions was, how's the defensive line going to act without Von Miller? Because last year they didn't produce at all. And, I wasn't highly, touting the Jets offensive line. Hey, Miss Fins, what's going on? She said, Dolphins win the AFC East. Hey, I mean, it's possible, but can't talk about it yet. Just let it happen. Let it happen because, I mean, we've seen crazier things happen. Who knows? For all we know, the Patriots can win it. But go follow Miss Vince if y'all haven't yet. She's absolutely phenomenal. And I was going to get back to you. I have a job at 7 a.m. tomorrow. Maybe if we pre-record later, I can do it. But I definitely got to try to get on the show over there. Get Miss Vince over. Get over to Miss Vince. Subscribe. Get her to 1,000 subs. You won't be disappointed. I'm also going to the Week 18 game, Miss Vince. So if you're around, I'd like to link up with you. But yeah, defensive line I thought performed very well, regardless of the Jets' offensive line. Because even against bad offensive lines, they couldn't produce last year, and then they did for the most part. I can't wait to watch the All-22, but I was pretty pleased with them. And as far as I've seen a lot of people, throwing shade at Terrell Bernard. I mean, what did you guys expect? I mean, it was his first career start. He never got much playing time. You think he's going to come out and be an All-Pro already? I mean, like Edmonds wasn't even an All-Pro, and I didn't miss him at all yesterday. If I'm being fair, I didn't think we need him. And I thought Edmonds. I thought Bernard did pretty well, especially for his first start. He led the team in tackles. He hit hard. He did get blocked down a little bit, but he's also hasn't the excuse of his size. Edmonds got blocked down being the size he was, and then wasn't aggressive. Bernard was aggressive, and he was always cleaning up and hitting hard, trying to force the ball out. So I'll give it to Bernard. I got to watch the tape to see if he was out of place as much as people say. But something I thought a question mark was middle linebacker. We thought it was going to be Dotson. Then he came in. He didn't do a terrible job. Could always be worse. Benford did pretty good. He got beat a couple times on routes, but he stopped a touchdown. So thought he did pretty decent as well. Secondary was pretty decent besides the safeties being slower than molasses. I mean, that's the problem when you get old. Like you get caught up in a one-on-one, you're going to get cooked because you're slow and old. So didn't like that from the safeties. Love them. But their age is showing, even though they're young. The age is showing. Run defense was horrible. I'll stick to the good things first. I thought the offensive line was better than last year. I know it's one week. They got to gel more still. But one of my other pregame, after I watched the Jets film and I brought it up, was the Jets run a basic front. They don't do anything special. They might blitz, which credit to our offensive line. They did blitz a heck of a lot more than they did last year against us because they couldn't get home with the 4-man rush. And the only time they really disrupted in the run game was when we ran draw plays, which is an easy thing to to get tackles in the backfield for. Quentin Williams made one good play on a terrible down block by Deion Dawkins on a traditional run play. But for the most part, I thought offensive line stepped up against a great front. DJ Reed compared his team to the 85 Bears. So if our offensive line in week 1 was producing pretty well against the 85 Bears team, again, I got to watch the film today. But from what I saw, initial watch, the offensive line did a heck of a lot better than they did last year, which I expected. And should have been different in the game plan. Go to comments there, Christine. Josh 100% needs to be better. He lost that game yesterday, but it's only week 1. We lost the Pitt at home first game in 21, and Josh took a few weeks to get on track, and he went nuclear in the playoffs. Yeah, and there is truth to that. And I messaged it yesterday. Mentioned it yesterday on Nickel City Mafia. He did go pretty good in the playoffs, but we still ultimately lost and didn't get out of the divisional round. He's such a fantastic quarterback. You saw he beat Dan Marino's touchdown record, and Dan Marino is one of the best quarterbacks to ever play. But he also leads the league in turnovers since he's been in the league. That's a lot on Josh and a lot on the offensive coordinator, because it's his job to reel Josh in. It's his job to not be buddy during the game and say, Josh, that was a stupid. Because those 3 picks, they weren't because the Jets confused anybody. They're because Josh wasn't reading the safety. It's a simple cover, basic quarterback play 101 that you learn in high school. You look where the safety is, then you throw it where he isn't. If you're looking at one-on-one coverage and you see the safety drop back, don't throw it there because it's no longer one-on-one coverage. Sarah, I 100% agree with you. I want to chuck Spencer Brown, though. That was coaching, though, not Josh's fault. Yeah, it's his fault because of decision-making, but it's the offensive coordinator's fault, which I agree with the coaching more because it's his responsibility to reel Josh in. So I'm 100% agreeance on that. Going back to Spencer Brown, overall, the offensive line as a whole played well. But, of course, when you need it most, he's good for that initial penalty to start overtime that sets you back and screws you over. It's just insane. I just don't understand. We never bring a competition for this guy. Everyone makes excuse after excuse after excuse for Spencer Brown, and just never. Yes, okay, Sarah, you meant the playoff game. Yeah, coaching absolutely, but the Jets game, I'll give like 95% Josh, and the other 5 was Dorsey the same. Because after one dumb mistake, like I don't know if you guys got kids or your teacher or whatever or a coach. But we'll say this: say your kid does something that they're not supposed to do, like I don't know. My kid likes to climb everything, so if he climbs the table in the living room, you say, "Don't do that. You're gonna fall," and they fall. And then you say, okay, well, did you learn your lesson now? You're not supposed to do that. And then they say, oh, yeah. After the first dumb interception that he wasn't paying attention to, wasn't watching the safety, Dorsey should have said, Josh, you didn't have to do that because you were 9 for 10 with what we were doing. The short, intermediate routes and quick. You were doing fantastic. Then you go try to take a deep shot. There's no point in that. Then he did it a second time. Then he did it a third time. And the third interception, it was a lot on Gabe Davis too, because Josh was going through his progressions. And then Gabe Davis, everyone told me he'd be better with a healthy ankle, right? Then he runs a half-ass route, rounded. It wasn't even crisp. It was rounded. He didn't fake the safety out at all. Like, oh, let me go in and out. He just went, okay, I'm going right out. And then Josh, by the time he got to his progression with Gabe, threw it anyway, got the route jumped, and then he threw the pick. And Josh needs to 100% be better. Exactly, Sarah. Yeah, he's in year 6. He's not a rookie. He's a big boy. He needs to act like one. Yeah, and I'm tired of him going on the podium saying stuff like, yeah, starts with me. Same shit, different day. That's the problem. You said it's the same shit, different day, same place. You didn't learn anything from last year when you played against the Jets. I watched film a day before my show last week on what the Jets defense did, and I saw exactly what I needed to see. You're telling me at a pro level, pro coaches, weeks to prepare, months to prepare even, that you couldn't dissect what you did wrong last year, and you did the same mistakes. Those interceptions Josh threw last year against the Jets weren't because the Jets did anything special. They were miscues with the offense and then stupid choices by Josh. And then you did the same thing. And it just blows my mind how these guys, these captains, go on the podium and they say, it's only 1 week, guys, relax. And Fans can say that. Like, I don't agree with it, but fans can say that. We're more than entitled to fan however we want, and I'm a huge proponent of that. I fan differently. Sarah fans differently. Miss Finn's fans differently. And that's 100% okay to think how you want. But players should never think that, oh, it's okay, it's only week one, because that compounds into what happened last year. The first one, Josh expected Hardy to keep running towards the end zone. And then at the same time, I'm like, why are you throwing a deep route in double coverage to a 5'5" receiver? I mean, oh, man, but good point. And yeah, he learned nothing. That's the big deal, because people say, like, oh, it's only week one or it's only one game. But the problem is he doesn't learn from that mistake. He says he's going to change, but then, so Sarah, you'll kind of feel what I'm saying. We play the Raiders next week, right? Their defense hasn't been great, but they have great offensive weapons. So I'm not going to say it's a gimme, because it's not. But say Josh goes off on the Raiders defense, those 4 touchdowns, 350 yards, no interceptions, and everybody else in the fan base is going to say, Josh changed. Josh got back on track. Did he, though? Or was it a lesser opponent? And Josh is, I mean, you can't take away the great that he's done in this league, but you have to be able to learn from problems that you faced. You have to look at that Jets game and say, you know what? They've been, just like he did with the Patriots. The Patriots had his number for the first 2 years, and then Brady doesn't play defense, so it doesn't matter. But then Josh figured out Bill Belichick, and Bill Belichick can't stop him now. And then now you got to do the same thing with the Jets. For some reason, you just get overhyped when you play them, and you force the ball, make stupid mistakes, and then you find yourself in the same situation. So now next game you play them, you have to say, what am I going to do to change and throw 300 yards on these guys and 3+ touchdowns and shut them up, and then consistently do that. That's how you have to grow as a player, because we know that you can be fantastic and be a top quarterback in this league, but you've also shown us that you can be really horrible in some games, which everybody's entitled to bad games. I mean, Joe Burrow did horrible. Mahomes didn't do horrible, but he lost. He didn't win his team the game. He lost. And at home, when you're the best quarterback in the league, you have a little bit more, on your plate when you hold that weight as being the best quarterback. And he lost. But that Burrow and Mahomes game, they get totally put aside because of how horrible Josh played. Ryan Tannehill, I was like, man, 3 interceptions the first game. You're definitely going to be the guy this year. And then Josh was like, hold my beer. Let me top that with another fumble. And I mean, it's just insane. I loved how we went to Hardy early, because that's what you got to do against a team like this. Great pass rush, great secondary. You got receivers like Gabe Davis who can't separate. Short to intermediate passes will work. Screen passes bubble screens will work. Dump offs will work. And we did that for a majority of the game. And then Josh just got trigger happy when he didn't need to be. And then it put us at, in disadvantaged situations. That goes both ways, though. He needs to get his confidence back, too. I find with Josh taking chances and giving his receivers a 50-50 shot and losing, it's unnecessary mistakes to get me. Yeah, and 100% correct. I just think in that game against the Jets, all 3 of those weren't necessary. Because, I mean, he had some awesome, beautiful throws and tight coverage. I mean, Diggs worked Sauce all night, and even Gabe Davis worked him pretty good. And yeah, we didn't win, so it didn't really matter. But just like I thought, everyone hype. Oh, Diggs gets locked down by Sauce, and he really didn't last year. But Diggs is another level. Get your best player the ball, and we did. Kincaid looked pretty good. I mean, yeah, most of his yards were after the catch, which is wonderful. Nobody wanted to tackle him, and which was great to see. Knox was decent, but I mean, Sherfield, where was Sherfield? We expected a lot from him, and I mean, I don't know why he's never done anything much to warrant all the praise that he got, in my opinion. But he was supposed to be a better option for our team than Isaiah McKenzie. Like I said, I liked how hard he worked in early, but then we shied away from that, and then we went away from Diggs for like the third quarter, and I'm just like, what's going on here? And James Cook looked to have a pretty good day from the surface. But then it's like 12 rushes for 40 yards. That's not that good. I mean, those draws up the middle, man, it's just – I know you got big boys up front, but Cook isn't that kind of guy. Like, look what happened when they put Murray in and they ran up the middle. 5 yards, 4 yards, whatever. He had 8 yards on 2 carries, and I think he had 5 yards one of the carries. So he's a guy that can do that. Harris can do that. Cook isn't a guy that wants contact. You have to want it as a running back, and he's a great player. I mean, he was great in the receiving game too, but he was good, but I mean, there was a lot to be left desired for Cook, in my opinion. Why the F are you hurdling 3 Jets defenders to go from 4th to 7 to 4th and 3? Hey, I'm wondering the same thing. If it was the first down marker, maybe, but and then why on the first interception, I couldn't see they didn't pan to it right away, but you had enough space to get the first down running the ball, at least the first down, maybe even more, maybe even a touchdown, maybe even getting in the red zone. And then you threw the ball a million miles an hour in the air. You get hyped up like, oh, but then there's 2 people against a 5'5" receiver. Man. And then that just blew my mind because like the one time you should have ran, you didn't. And then some of those jet sacks, I don't know how analytically they count it, but when you drop back immediately and then you start to run up and like think you're going to run the ball, like they count that as a designed run because it could have been a quarterback draw, and then you get tackled in the backfield. So I think the offensive line did a lot better than what it may seem. We're going to watch the film and break it down, but I mean, those were stupid. Why are you doing that? Why are you running up the middle? Why are you running up the middle, especially with your quarterback, when you got big dudes like Quentin Williams who can just destroy you? I don't understand that. I never will. But that play, he should have ran up the field and at least got the first down. He definitely could have. Yeah, we can stop running Cook up the middle against a strong front four, for the love of God. It's just, I thought for the most part, Dorsey called a good game, if I'm being fair, because he did everything that you were supposed to do. The short, quick, against a team like this, that's what you have to do. You have to be fine with 3 to 4 yards, 3 to 4 yards, 3 to 4 yards, 15 play drives, and scoring a touchdown. You have to be fine with that. If eventually you get a one-on-one coverage, throw the one-on-one coverage, but don't look for it. Focus on what's in front of you, and they were doing that for the most part. So besides Dorsey running up the middle on draws or just with Cook in general, I didn't like that. But as far as the passing game goes, I thought he drew up a pretty good plan, and Josh didn't execute it, and he was absolutely horrible. I just want to keep prefacing that Josh was absolutely horrendous yesterday, and I would argue that was his worst game he ever played. Spencer Brown was getting manhandled. Yeah, and I expect growing pains from guys like Osiris Torrance, and he got that play that Brown gave up the sack. Torrance got bull rush back a little bit, but again, overall he had a fantastic game, and I mean, I'm not surprised at all with Spencer Brown. Again, it might not be as bad as it seemed, but I'm not going to pretend that I thought he was going to be fantastic, because I've been saying it for 3 years. We've never brought in any sort of competition for him. Getting Ifedi, who I love, was the only form of somewhat competition that we brought for him, and it wasn't even during preseason. We got it as like a safety net, and we'll find out real quick. Spencer Brown versus Max Crosby next week. Gosh, that's going to be horrible. And then you got the Commanders' defensive line, and then you got the Dolphins' defensive line with Jalen Phillips coming up. My man Owen, we love it. Josh Allen to the XFL, yeah. We got to say stuff like that to mask our our pain and suffering. We got to make jokes, and that's all we can do really is laugh. Poirier has been sinking up the joint. Man, that first play that Lazard caught. Yeah, Spencer Brown needs to pick up like painting or photography or something. That first catch that Lazard had, that he was wide open and Zach Wilson had like 10 seconds to throw the ball. Poirier was just standing there, and he usually makes that kind of play beforehand. And then that running play, he just doesn't have the same speed as he used to, man. I mean, he's still a savage. Like, don't get me wrong, but you got to tackle, and we'll get into the tackling in a second. I like that we incorporate more screens and Kincaid look good. There's reasons for hope. Just got to pull it all together. Yeah, and, it's 100% correct with the hope. It's so frustrating that in a Super Bowl window, we're still banking off hope. Like, Kansas City doesn't need a hope. The Bengals don't need a hope. They expect it, and they know that. Like, we talked about it yesterday. The Bengals lost week 1 this year and last year, and they turned around and had a great season. But they've proven and shown changes. We don't adjust at halftime. We don't do anything. We run the same zone. Like, Miami Dolphins are, just to bring in the Dolphins, if Miss Vince is still listening, it's been well documented and all analytical points that they're one of the best teams against zone coverage, like offense against defense. And then knowing this and watching them crap themselves against the Chargers and the 49ers, instead of thinking, you know what, how can we play against their strength and then manage to stop them? So what do? We play the same zone coverage we've been playing for the last 7 years, and then they make it a game. And if you play press man coverage against them and bump Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle off the line of scrimmage, it's a different game, different ball game. Right back at it yesterday, blowing tackles. Oh, yeah, we're going to get into that. Mahomes and Brady and Burrow will dump off screens a lot, and you have to be comfortable with that. We haven't adjusted in 4 years, maybe even longer. Dorsey dumb. I think he, for the most part, called a game that we could have won, and Josh just didn't execute it. But the runs up the middle were absolutely horrid. Spencer Brown was 100% getting pushed around like a rag doll. He really was. I bought Sunday ticket this year, and I was rewinding the play specifically to see the O-line. He was instantly losing on far too many plays. Yeah, absolutely. And Sarah, if you're ever interested in, like, I have the all 22 on here, so you don't have to pay for it. It's kind of annoying. I could get you in here, like in the back, send a link, and then we can watch it if you want to watch it like that. Like I said, I thought overall as a unit they played pretty good, but that's the thing I'm worried about with the whole Brown thing is all the built-in excuses. Oh, it's up already, Matt Chatter? Oh, sweet. I'm gonna bring it up later, and I'm gonna watch Bernard and then the offensive line specifically, and then I'll key back to those interceptions that Josh threw and look how many things were open there. Maybe nothing was open, but maybe there was a lot open. But Browns got the built-in excuses again for the first 4 weeks. Oh, the Jets have one of the best fronts in the NFL. Built-in excuse for Spencer Brown for play. Second week, Max Crosby, one of the most ferocious, maybe not the best pass rusher, but I said psychotic yesterday, and I mean it like as far as football psychotic goes. Like, this guy's an animal. He'll just destroy you. He'll maul you. He'll get in your head. A perfect example of what you want from an edge rusher against Spencer Brown every single play, because he doesn't move often. But why would you move if you're going against Spencer Brown when you're Max Crosby? And then you got 4 first-round picks on the defensive line in Washington, and then you got Chubb, who hasn't really produced in Miami yet, but Chubb and Jalen Phillips. So it's just insane. It's just insane. But yeah, absolutely, Sarah. Let me know anytime. The line collectively was better than expected, but Brown was on his typical BS. Yeah, I'm not even like, if he does good, I'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm never expecting it. If you want to go over the tape here I watch. Yeah, absolutely. I did a little bit last year, and then there's other great shows out there that get more viewing in it. So I was like, oh, maybe people just aren't interested. But if there's we could do on because you guys know we do the Red, White, and Ruthless on Nickel City Mafia on Saturdays. If you guys find Brett or Mike or my Instagram is just, you could go to Red, White, and Bills on Red_White_Bills. I don't go on it often, but if you message me on there, hey, go back to this play. We could dissect it on Saturday night and talk about it too. I have excuse. He is a lanky to play. I mean, he's just technically not good. And it was funny because me and Owen were just talking about it one day. I was like, I wonder what his draft profile was beforehand. And he's elite with his hands. He's elite with speed rushers and does the opposite of what he is in the NFL. He's horrible with speed rushers. He's horrible with power rushers. He's horrible with hand placement. He's horrible with everything. And, he's a good run blocker. Yeah, he's good at run blocking when he's blocking DBs. Like, I can go block a DB right now, and I haven't played football in 10 years. Like, it's just, there's so many excuses. Floyd is a great quarterback rusher who blows tackles. Yeah, he's never been good in run blocking or run defense, so that's wonderful. The O-line exceeded my expectations, except Spencer Brown. The interior was caving in at times too. They seemed to tighten up as the game went on. Yeah, and just as I mentioned in the pregame show, Quinnen Williams lines up against the left guard every single time. That one game we lost, he lined up as nose tackle one play. And that play, there's a couple plays where Mitch Morse was stuck one-on-one with him because McGovern was helping Dawkins, from what I remember. It's hard to beat him one-on-one, but when you double him, they did a pretty good job, and Torrance did a pretty good job. But yeah, overall, the offensive line was what I thought it was going to be. Because I mentioned it, like, why was it so easy for the Jets to stop us on defense? The dumb mistakes by Josh, which, again, surfaced this time, and the horrible offensive line play. And the offensive line play elevated, and we still couldn't produce because of the Josh. Need a wide receiver, so we draft a tight end. Yeah, I mean, I was happy with what Kincaid did. He didn't have much to do with those catches because of where they were, but then he was able to run people over like Knox, and for his first game, I was pretty surprised, pleasantly surprised. Maybe I'm unfair though because I was expecting Brown to fail. I'd love to watch the film. Yeah, we will. I got another job here in a little bit. One of my clients actually canceled because one of my estimates took a little bit longer because it was a new client, and sometimes the conversations get rolling. And then she was upset because I was late, so she's like, "Oh, I'll find somebody else." So that's why I'm here right now. So I mean, you can't. Sometimes it happens, but I've been so blessed and overbooked that someone else will come around too. And I just made a new client, so it works out. So I want to get home after this job later. I don't have to go to the gym today, and then I'll watch the film, and then we'll talk. You guys can message us, and then we can talk more on Saturday. Yeah, Terrell Bernard. Like I said, I don't know if you were here earlier, Matt Chatter, but I mentioned like people were saying he was bad, but like, what did you expect? I mean, it was his first start, and I thought he did pretty good. He might have been out. People said he was out of place. It's hard because I like to watch the lines when the games are on live TV, so I'll have to watch to see if he was out of place on a lot of them, like they said. But overall, I thought he was fine. Another plus, Floyd had a greater impact than I was expecting. Yeah, like I said, he's no Von Miller, but he definitely made his presence felt. And once Von Miller comes back, it's going to be even better. Josh is on one if he thinks he can keep throwing in the double coverage. I mean, it's the probability of making a playing double coverage is already low to begin with, especially if it's a horrible play. Rodgers confirmed the Achilles out for a season. Yeah, that's horrible. When I saw that, I was like, this isn't how it should be going. I hate to see injuries in general, but it's just it was pretty sad, and hopefully you can come back next year. Turbo, hey, I haven't seen you, man. Are you a Jets fan? Are you a Raiders fan? Bills will be 0-2 this Sunday. Sorry, Bills fans. Raiders are coming with Jimmy G. Hey, I mean, it's a week-to-week league, so it could definitely happen. If we play like this, we're gonna lose everybody. But this is where like you have to game plan against guys like Josh Jacobs, who can. I think people argued with me yesterday, said Breece Hall's better than Josh Jacobs, and I just don't agree. Josh Jacobs, if you arm tackle him, he's going to run 200 plus yards on us. And Devontae Adams could be any cornerback. So, yeah, but thanks for tuning in, Turbo. Like and subscribe if you haven't. If you don't like the content, tell me what I can do to improve, man. I appreciate you coming in. Matt Chatter, stop running him up the middle. Damn, absolutely. I expect him to be terrible, but he was okay. I think you're talking about Bernard. Our D was set up to get Rodgers. We left middle wide open for running back, and that's okay. Yeah, the only problem with that is like even if the D-line does their job, if the linebackers make one little mistake and over pursue, or the safeties crash down too fast, then you're screwed, and that's the risk we always take. Dolphins have the division wrapped up if Josh doesn't wake up. Yeah, and that's the thing. Miss Vince came in here earlier, said the division's Dolphins this year, and it's very well possible. That's on us, that's on everyone else. You have to get the job done. That is brutal for Jets fans and Rodgers. Really hope he can come back. Yeah, I mean, Achilles is a horrible. I was mentioning it yesterday. I had a football coach who tore his Achilles, and it took him like almost over a year to get back to normal walking and normal stuff. And with his age, it could be career ending. But hopefully for the Jets fans and the Jets team and for Aaron Rodgers, that it was nice for, like they mentioned yesterday, it seemed he was finally loving football again. It'd be nice for them if he can come back, and we should have got the job done yesterday, especially that he was out. But they still have a chance to win games. Saints working out QB Brooks. Expect Winston to move out to the Jets. Yeah, could be good. That's a good point. Tua not going to survive our rush. Yeah, I mean, I was actually surprised that with Armstead out, Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa couldn't get any pressure on Tua last week. From what I hear, I couldn't watch the game because it was showing the Bears game for me. But it's just, wow. It's so frustrating that you wait so long for the season, and then this is just what the product they put on the field. And I'm just – we'll talk about it today, but then we got to start getting in the Raiders week, because the quicker you move on from a horrible performance like this, the better. Bad things still need to be talked about first and foremost. I'm not sold on Dolphins, to be honest. Not every defense is going to let Hill run free like that with no safety help. Sure, Tua looks good in week 1 against a head-scratching D scheme, but let's see how he looks in week 8. Yeah, and, it's just like anything. Like I said, I don't like the week 1 good or bad, mentality because, you could be really good or really bad. And it's just, it's only 1 week or whatever. You got to be consistent and keep doing it if it's good stuff. If it's bad stuff, you got to stop. I mean, Burrow and Josh, they really got to, step it up. Only positive thing I'll say is I'm glad it's week 1. I hope they got this out of their system. Yeah, and like I mentioned, like it's fine to say it's only week for players. It's fine to say it's only week 1, right? If, and that's a big if, you actually learn from your lesson. Like for me, we'll use a business, for example. I go to a client's house. I make a mistake. They call me and say, hey, Sean, everything was great except you missed whatever. Then I go back the next time and don't charge them for that part and then fix it. And then it's all said and done. Then I know next time that's the first thing I got to check. But for the Bills, they just say, oh, it's week 1. They watch film, I'm sure. They think they fix things. But then when you do the same thing a year later, same exact way, it was the same exact way we lost, and nothing changes, then why am I going to believe that you're going to change? Because that's why I said yesterday, I wouldn't be impressed if you beat the Raiders because they're a lesser team in the sense of defensive play, but they still have a chance to win because they have offensive firepower and a quarterback that doesn't often put the ball in harm's way. It's Cope, but told Eagles, Bengals, Chiefs, Vikings, these good teams that always that take it easy all preseason, takes a few weeks to mesh. Josh needs to learn to slide and throw away, no running on huge yardage. Yeah, and that was the main thing with me is like, besides those horrible interceptions, you're not going to take them out because that was horrible and needs to be mentioned often. But everything else was exactly what the game plan needed to be. But Anthony on the show yesterday mentioned he can't stick with doing that. He can't stick to doing the short passes the whole time. But that's what the Jets force you to do. You have to dink and dunk for the most part the whole drive if you want points. And we got impatient. There's a Raiders fan in here, Savage, Red, White, and Bills. I'm happy. I want NFL fans all over to come here and talk with us because, I watch so many other content creators for different teams because I want to, when I talk about these teams, I want to know as much as I can and have a really good analysis for you guys. And I had a goal when I first started this was every week have a talk with each respective team. And I reached out for people a bunch of times and they never answered, but it's nice to have them here. Hopefully, let's hear more of what you got to say, Raiders fans. I'm 100%. You do it again, you're on the bench for a drive or two. He gets too impatient. If I ever see Josh Hurdle and the 3 Jets defenders for no reason at all, I'm going to go down and smack him myself. He might need that, actually. He might need a smack to get his head out of this. McDermott job on the line. He needs to be bent. He needs to be benched if he does not want to comply with McDermott. Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, it's so hard to comment on the coaches because – give me 1 second. Somebody's messaging me. Okay, just give me 1 second. I just got to let somebody in really quick, and then I'll wrap it up the show. Give me 1 second. Talk in the chat. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. But, yeah, Jacobs, we're going to talk about the pregame. I think I'll get it out Friday. But, yeah, I got to get going because I got another job coming up. I'm glad I got to do this. Thank you guys for all coming in. And like I said, for the people that are going to be watching Saturday night, if you want to watch the L22 or you have specific plays or timestamps you want us to touch on, message one of us, and then we'll break it down Saturday when you come in. And then if you guys want to jump in, message me, and then I can send you a link like we are right now. And then it won't be live. It'll just be in the back. But, a lot to fix. It's one game, week to week league, one game at a time, but you got to fix your mistakes so you don't repeat them and you can actually be a contender. So really appreciate you guys. I mean, it's going to be rough for the week. You got to get that first win under your belt. Until then, it's going to be frustration. Don't look at the media. Don't look at. I mean, let people are going to talk. So I mean, if you got to take it if they dish it out, but don't be looking at the don't be looking at the media for sure. Let's be realistic here. There's no chance in hell Josh gets benched. Yeah, that would I don't think that'll ever happen. But all right, guys, go Bills. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.